How are you feeling, by the way?
Well, I literally just, as I told you to start recording, I muted myself to cough a little bit, so that's good.
Yeah, that's healthy.
Yeah, I am so healthy. In fact,
I
I'm
have
the
not
healthiest I ever
gotten.
been.
How did you know? I have not gotten my test results back
Yeah,
yet.
me neither.
The thing is, they told me 2 to 12 days, but they
Mm.
didn't tell me if it was business days or regular days.
Probably business days because I don't think the labs
Which
do the
means I'm
weekends.
only on day 4.
Oh, jeez. Well, I'm
So,
supposed to be getting my tests back
tomorrow.
supposedly, but I told my boss even if it was negative, I was like, I still need to go to the doctor because I
You have
am
something.
straight
Even
up
if it's
having a
not
bad time.
COVID, you have
Yeah.
like a flu or a cold or something.
Yeah, so
Same with me. Like, even if it comes back negative, I'm like, well, I still have something.
I need
And
and when I called the doctor, they were like, "Oh, well, without your COVID result, there's really nothing that we can do because to treat COVID is different than treating like,
isn't there no way to treat COVID though?
well, there's things that they can do to help."
The symptoms,
Yeah.
I guess. I've been just taking Dayquil.
Yeah, me
But
too.
I have been napping like 2-3 times a day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right before I texted you to start recording, I had woken up from a nap, so.
I've been so exhausted. And even if it's not COVID, it's something.
Mhm.
And Eric's been pretty okay for the most part, but he obviously has to stay home because of me. So,
Yeah, that's K too is
is
because
she home still?
yeah, yeah. Well, cuz like I don't have my test results back. If I am COVID positive, then she can't go back to work with that.
Yep.
So,
Well, I will say the silver lining to all of that for both of us, I'm sure, is that I'm having a lovely time spending more time with my partner.
yeah, yeah. I
Like,
mean,
yes, I feel like shit, but like I'm not alone. I got terraforming for my island.
yay! I saw that you got
So,
KK Slider on Friday, and Kay was like, "Wait, KK Slider's here on Friday?" And I was like, "No, she
no,
didn't
I
have KK
just got
before
him.
him.
Yup.
Before that."
And then I just started messing with some layouts of my island. So far so good. I like how it's going.
I'm
It's a
excited
little
to see it.
wonky, but so far so good and I enjoy it. I spent like 2 hours while Eric was teaching. So luckily, he's still able to teach some of his classes so his PTO doesn't get eaten up
Mhm.
because it's Sunday right now. By Thursday, he will run out of PTO.
Oh no,
So they're letting him teach from home so that he doesn't use all of his PTO.
that's good.
But he can only do that twice a week for 3 hours. So he did that today.
Well, tell me about your highs and lows for the week.
My low is probably just generally feeling like garbage and not really able to do anything about it. Like, no matter what I take or do, it doesn't seem to really help. But the
I
high
feel you on
is,
that.
yeah, the high is just like I said before, like I'm spending time with Eric and I've been hanging out with David, and I actually got to see Olivia the other day, very distantly.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to be able to see her from a distance and also to get some sun. I got a tan very
Nice.
quickly. I was also wearing a tank top that had many side straps, which was a bad idea because this girl got a weird ass tan. So, but it was nice to get sun. I think it helped me a little bit. Honestly, working at home this whole time, I think I wasn't getting enough sun
Mm-hmm.
or vitamin D, so I think
Yeah.
it's been helping. Yeah, I'm just waiting for my test results so I can function again. And
Yeah.
then, but other than that, like, it really hasn't been a bad week. I don't feel like I'm dying, I just don't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, my low is obviously like we kind of alluded to it without outright saying it, but I got sick and I got sick on Thursday morning. I just kind of woke up and I was hacking my lungs everywhere. And I've had a fever every night for the past 3 or 4 nights. So that's
Oh, you've had a fever?
mm-hmm.
I haven't had one.
So I get tested, as we've said a couple of times, I get tested regularly at my job. So I have to
Because you
wait
have to
for,
be.
yeah. So I'm waiting for my COVID result to come in. And in the meantime, and this is where my low comes in, I feel like shit. I have had trouble breathing. There have been like doing small things like feeding the dogs has just absolutely winded me.
That's literally how I was. Like, I walked 0
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt so exhausted. Even going outside yesterday was exhausting.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
do anything. I just sat and I
yeah,
was exhausted. Walking 0, exhausting.
yeah,
Doing laundry, exhausting.
yeah. Luckily,
Cooking dinner.
Kay has been very good and stepped up to do like
Is
a
she
lot.
having any symptoms?
Not really, so I'm hoping that I don't have it, but I guess we're gonna find
She could
out.
also be asymptomatic if you do have it,
Yeah,
which would be best case scenario if you did have it.
yeah, I guess. But then we would, I don't know. I've been telling myself it's bronchitis because I cannot for the life of, I have done everything. I have social distance, I wear a mask. I don't even get close to people who are not wearing a mask because those people are assholes who don't care about the health and safety of other people, come at me. And I don't know, I've done everything. The idea of having COVID is just like so beyond me that
Literally, though.
yeah. Anyway, so my highs though are that I've gotten, even though I've been feeling like death warmed over, I've gotten to be able to like rest a lot and take a break from work a little bit, which my job comes with a lot of emotional and mental barriers that I have to get over almost every day. So it's nice to have a break, even though I feel like death. I watched the Hamilton musical with
Woot.
Kay yesterday, which I don't care how many times I listen to the soundtrack or watch that.
You still in love with it.
Oh, I'm still in love with it and I cry every time. So yeah, those are my lows and my highs. There hasn't really been much going on because I do feel like death warmed
I
over. But
say,
yeah, low is that I'm sick. High is that Hamilton the musical is still, it's the best.
all we can do is rest and watch movies and catch up on video games pretty much.
And I'm still playing Pokemon. Oh, one
Good for
second.
you.
Oh, yes.
Merlin keeps hanging out by the door. I think he
Oh.
just wants to be on the bed with you.
Okay.
Your prey is going to be Kay.
Well, we'll see. That's what editing is for. Good boy. What are you doing? So we have a visitor in the podcast today. It's Merlin. He came in. I
Hey,
guess
Merlin.
he's been he was sick this morning, poor buddy. So I guess he
You
was,
threw up?
yeah, he vomited and then his tummy was making all kinds of noises. He didn't want to eat his breakfast this morning.
I wonder why.
Could be any reason.
Hopefully he didn't get into anything.
I'm gonna send you this note chat. I'm gonna post it when we post this episode. Yeah, so do you have an influential person of color to talk about today?
I closed it again. Why do I do this? Every time.
So do you want me to read while you find?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking, or again, this is from that same link, The Undefeated. This is about Toni Morrison because she believes that everyone has a story to tell. Born in 1931, she passed away in 2019. Quote, "You, your best thing, Seeth, you are." That penultimate line from Toni Morrison's Beloved, her fifth novel and winner of the 1988 Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, succinctly explains the significance of what Morrison, born Chloe Ardelia Wofford, has contributed not only to literature, but to the understanding of the history of Black people in the United States. Many writers use fiction to tell the story of our people, to reveal physical and mental burden of half a millennium of systematic dehumanization. But it was Morrison who told you straight up, from behind a lectern at Princeton University or in her writings, her word work was not meant to battle heroines and heroes like you have already fought and lost, she said in her acceptance speech for the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1993. She wrote for a reader who whispered to her, "Stop thinking about saving your face, think about our lives and tell us your particularized world. Make up a story. Narrative is radical, creating us at a very moment it is being created." It was not her prose's job to teach you the horrors of slavery. If you didn't know, she'd already told you in the Black Book, the seminal 1974 collection of primary evidence documenting the joy and pain of Africans brought to America and the generations they begat. Morrison did not plumb the depths of our history to prove anybody, or not even themselves, that we were human. The power of her novel lives in voices of characters who are given their own stories. To hell with it if you're too scared to look. There are no lectures in her novels, not even in her magnum opus, Beloved, about Seeth, a woman who haunted by the child she killed instead of returning to her slavery. Seeth's story of survival in the face of breathtaking brutality is her own. Her thirst for freedom of her children and for a future was not written to make you feel grateful for yours. Her rage and sorrow may mirror our own, but it is not ours. To read Morrison is to be reminded that each and every one of us has our own journey. We only crack open one of her books at any page to find the strength of fellow travelers, to be one with the last utterance in Beloved. Me? Me? This article was by Raina Kelly.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
I've not heard of that, and thank you for sharing. I pulled up the thing that I closed because I'm stupid yet again.
That's okay.
But...
Okay, so you can read now.
So my story is Shirley Chisholm. When thinking about how contentious things are in Congress today, imagine being the sole black female congresswoman nearly 50 years ago at the height of the civil rights movement. Shirley Chisholm was relentless in breaking political barriers with respect to both race and gender. She was a pioneer. In 1968, Chisholm became the first black woman elected to the U.S. Congress, representing New York's 12th District for 7 terms from 1969 to 1983. As both a New York State legislator and a congresswoman, she championed the rights of the least of us, fighting for improved education, health and social services, including unemployment benefits for domestic workers, providing disadvantaged students the chance to enter college while receiving intensive remedial education, the food stamp program, and the special supplemental nutritional program for women, infants, and children program. She noted that she faced more discrimination because of gender than race during her New York legislative career, while acknowledging the additional struggle that black women encounter specifically because of their race. All those Chisholm hired for her congressional office were women, and half of them were black. Tremendous amounts of talent are lost to our society just because that talent wears a skirt, she said. Before President Barack Obama's Yes We Can slogan and Hillary's Stronger Together, there was Chisholm's Unbought and Unbossed in 1972. She became the first black candidate for a major party's nomination for President of the United States, and the first woman to run for Democratic Party's presidential nomination. Chisholm remarked in words that still resonate today that in the end, anti-black, anti-female, and all forms of discrimination are equivalent to the same thing, anti-humanism. The next time you queue up Solange Knowles' album, A Seat at the Table, be reminded of Chisholm's words. If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair, by April Rain, which is pretty awesome.
Damn.
Badass.
I like that. If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. Damn.
She's like, fuck your shit.
Yeah. I was snapping and Merlin was like, what?
I heard it. He was like, hello, hello, hello.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, wow. Man, more badasses. I'm never going to get over these people that I never heard of. I knew about Toni Morrison, to be fair. I've heard of Toni Morrison. I know that she was an author.
Yeah, but still,
but yeah.
They don't go into detail about this kind of thing very frequently in school or anywhere else, so it's nice to hear it in more depth. And also from, I'm assuming these writers, the writers that are writing for The Undefeated, are also other black people
I'm
or
assuming.
people of color.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see their perspective on it as well.
Yeah.
So it's just cool.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, what spooks do you have for me today?
So I'm actually going to be talking about 2 castles in Ireland today because they are both named Ross Castle.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not confusing at all.
Yeah, when I was doing the research on this, I had kind of gotten them confused and put them kind of both into one lump, and it took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that these were 2 different castles that I was So I'm going to do the first one is located.
Be fair, that's confusing.
Yeah. So I'm going to do the first one is Ross Castle in Killarney National Park, which is in Ireland. And this one doesn't have, at least to the best of my research, any like hauntings. There's just kind of like some interesting history and then a legend about it.
Okay.
But since I did all of the research for it, I'm going to tell you about it anyway. And then the second one
might as well.
Yeah. And then the second one has all of the spooks. So, are you tired of being in here with me? Okay. Everybody say bye, Merlin.
Goodbye, little boy.
Okay. All right. Our guest has left for the day.
Goodbye, Merlin. We love you.
So, this first castle, also called Ross Castle, just to be clear, it was built by the ruling clan in Killarney sometime in the late 1400s by the ruling clan of Killarney at the time, who were the O'Donohues. It was built on the shore of Loch Shilleen, which is a very prominent lake in Ireland. And if we ever have international listeners and I mispronounced that, I did my best.
You tried.
After the
Pay for
second,
effort.
yeah, really. After the Second Desmond Rebellion in the early 1580s, it changed from being run by the O'Donoghue clan to the McCarthy clan. The castle was among the last to surrender to Oliver Cromwell's Roundheads during the Irish Confederate Wars. As the story goes, Lord McCarthy held the castle against Edmund Ludlow, who marched to Ross with 4,000 foot soldiers and 200 horses. However, it was by the water that he attacked the stronghold, and the Irish had a prophecy that Ross could never be taken until a warship could swim up the lake, an unbelievable prospect. And the prophecy was, Ross may assault disdain, till Lochlean's strange ship shall sail.
Interesting.
Yep. So that was the prophecy. The ships were built in Kinsale and brought by water to Killorglin and dragged by oxen to Ross Castle in the lake and river. So after the wars ended, the Browns were able to show that their heir was too young to have taken part in the rebellion, and they retained the lands. The castle was converted into military barracks in the 1600s during the Williamite Wars, and more permanent barracks were built behind the castle in the 1700s, and they remained there until the early 1800s. Today, the castle is maintained and owned by the Office of Public Works and is open seasonally for tours. So,
Oh, okay.
and I got most of this information from killarneynationalpark.ie and killarney.ie. So here's the legend regarding this Ross Castle. As the story goes, as well as being well-liked, rich, and famous, O'Donoghue was also thought to be one of the wisest men of his time, and O'Donoghue was the first chieftain of this castle. Some say that he was able to harness the power of the dark arts. His popularity, wealth, power, and wisdom, all of that he had could not prevent him from growing old. Nothing can. And growing old.
He's like, dang it.
Yeah, he's got a very Dorian Gray complex. And growing old was something that he was afraid of. So much so that he one day locked himself away in his chamber at the top of the castle and vowed that he would not come out until he figured out how to regain his youth. Like I said, very Dorian Gray.
Sir.
Yeah.
You can't change that.
I know. So hours became days, became weeks, and without any sign of him, his wife and his family began to worry until one day, about 7 weeks after he originally locked himself away, he called upon his wife and told her that she had to help him to his quest for youth. He said to her, "You must cut me into little pieces. You must put those pieces into a barrel in this chamber, then lock the door and stay away for another 7 weeks. When you come in when you come in after 7 weeks, you will find me alive and well. By that time, I will be a 3-year-old child. If you lose your nerve and try to come in during the 7 weeks, it will mean the end for me. To test your nerve, I shall read to you from one of my books. You will see and hear all strange things of horrors while I am reading, but you must not cry out, or I shall be taken from you forever." So, naturally, he began to read from his book, and as he read, as he said, there were horrifying images presented and weird noises, bangs, crashes, and his wife did actually stay quiet during all this. She kept her resolve, but the legend doesn't specify what horrors that she saw, except at one point, one of the horrors, quote unquote, that was shown to her was of her child lying dead on the table in front of her, and as any mother who loves her child would do, she screamed out in horror and despair. And from here, the stories differ. Either O'Donoghue leapt from the window because of anguish over the lack of resolve from his wife, or the magical powers sucked him out of the window because she screamed in horror at the sight of her dead child. And all of his belongings, his library, his desk, he and his horse all live in this grand castle in the bottom of the lake that the Ross Castle sits on. And it is said that every 7 years during the month of May, he rises from the lake on his horse and circles the lake. And according to legend, anyone who isn't that wild? According to legend,
terrifying.
Anyone who might catch a glimpse of him will be granted good fortune.
Okay.
So
that doesn't sound like good fortune. It sounds like bad luck to me.
Yeah, so, but that's the story of the first Ross Castle from the O'Donohues.
I'm into it.
Mm-hmm. So the second castle, the one with the actual ghosts, is the Castle of Ross in Mount Nugent in County Meath, Ireland. And so my sources for this one are from castleross.com. There's an interview by the current owner of Castle Ross. His name is Richard Moore, and I got some of my information from some YouTube videos, which I will post in the description. So without further ado, the area that this castle had been built on was constantly at war between the Anglo-Saxon conquerors of the east and the Celtic Irish natives of the north and west. The area extending west from Dublin, controlled by the English, out to the shores of Loch Shilleen, is known as the Pale, which is the divider between, like I said, the Anglo-Normans and the Celtic Irish. On one side was the prominent Irish chieftains of the O'Reillys, McCabe's, O'Neills, and McCormicks. And on the other side was the English kingsmen of the Nugents. And for the sake of simplicity and time, I left out a whole bunch of history there, but we can get it into that some other time. Just me and you, if you ever want to know about Irish history.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's super cool and interesting. My favorite parts of notes are sometimes doing the history, because I think history is so fun. Anyway.
Yeah, and like they don't teach every little thing, so it's like, oh, I want to dive a little more in depth with this. I've never heard of this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. So we'll just passing a whole bunch of history and wars and stuff. In 1533, the 12th Baron of Delvin, his name is Richard Nugent, commissioned and commenced the construction of the stronghold, which later became known as the Castle of Ross. The lands passed down through the 12th Baron to the 13th Baron, Richard Nugent's grandson, after his death. Over time, the Nugents started to reach across the Pale and started to merge with the local Irish. In 1644, Miles O'Reilly, who is aka the Slasher, stayed a night before a big battle where he was later slain. The English, in retaliation, razed the castle, and it remained a husk until sometime in the 1800s, when it was occupied and rebuilt for use. In 1964, Sir David Nugent rebuilt the place. Yes, 1964, you heard me correctly.
I was gonna say,
In 1964, Sir David Nugent rebuilt the place as a family estate and added modern conveniences to the building, and today it is owned by Richard and Jackie Moore, who operate it as a bed and breakfast.
Ooh,
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks really fun. I'd love to go there someday.
Haunted bed and breakfast?
Yes, a haunted bed and breakfast.
Yes!
So
I'm looking up what it looks like.
So I just spitfired through a bunch of history there. We're going to get into a couple of the legends and then the spoops.
I can't wait.
So, Richard Nugent was also known as the Black Baron because he was a nasty guy. Like, he was real cruel, he was real mean, he was real hard-fisted on his people, and he had a bad temper. So, just here's a legend about... I don't know if it's a legend or a true story, but it was often referred to as a legend. But a woman in the village of Ross had just finished baking a bread and placed the loaf on the windowsill of her cottage to cool when a dog came by and snatched it up.
Oh,
yeah,
that's very dog-like.
Yeah. The woman did not know at the time that the dog had taken it, but only realized that her bread was gone and started shouting thief everywhere.
Oh my god.
Which apparently...
My Spidey sense would have known as soon as that food was gone, though.
My Spidey sense.
Listen, my food sense be strong as fuck.
I get it. I do.
I can tell. Someone take a bite of my plate, I'm like, where'd it go? I know.
Oh no. So the dog, I guess, got startled by the woman who's screaming thief everywhere, and he dropped the loaf and then ran away. So around the same time, there was a beggar who had been passing through the streets and stopped under a tree nearby to do a snooze. So while those two things were happening concurrently, the Black Baron was out with his entourage hunting along the lake when he heard the story of the bread thief and became angry about the lawlessness of his land. So the Black Baron came to check it out, and he happened upon the beggar who was still doing his snooze and accused the beggar of being a bread thief. And the beggar was like, I was sleeping this whole time. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't me.
Yeah, and he denied the accusations, saying that he didn't know anything of the bread. And the Black Baron became angry that he was being lied to. So right there in the middle of the village, he had a makeshift gallows constructed, and he hanged the beggar for being a thief and a liar.
Oh my god.
So... Later on, the villagers did find the missing bread, but it was too late. The beggar was already dead. And so, in the place where the makeshift gallows had been built, they had set a cross with some flowers and roses, and the innocent beggar is remembered to this day.
That makes me so sad.
So, the second legend is about Richard Nugent's daughter. Her name was Sabina, and she is one of the ghosts who haunts the castle of Ross, and this is her story. She had a weak constitution, but
That's
it is,
rude.
well, I mean, she was a sickly girl, but it is also like widely known and said that she grew up to be a beautiful young woman. In her youth, she would play along the shores of the lake that the castle was built on, walk in the villages where she was well liked and respected among the common people, and had a knack for sneaking away from her governess appointed to watch over her.
Kidding.
Yeah, that would be
I
me
didn't
too.
sneak out. I was a good girl.
Yeah, I mean, I was a good kid too, but I don't know that I would want like my governess to be watching over me at all
Me
times.
neither.
of
I'd be
the
like,
day.
I'm leaving.
Yeah. So on such a day as that, where she had escaped the governess, she was walking across the bridge that formed the border of her father's lands, where she came across a Hantle gentleman by the name of Orwin O'Reilly. And now, if you remember, the O'Reillys and the Nugents were at war because the Irish and the Anglo-Saxons were butting heads over land and religious policies. So they made quick.
Ruh-roh.
So this is a very spoiler alert Romeo and Juliet story. So they made for quick friends, and before the sun went down, they parted ways with the promise to one another that they would see each other again. And they did. As time went on, they fell in love. They continued to meet in secrecy because, of course, as the daughter of an English lord, it was unprecedented to be in the company of an Irish chieftain's son. So as they met, they many times discussed marriage and running away together, until one day, with no hope in sight, they decided to just run away and elope.
That makes sense. It's
Mhm.
like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah, basically. So, since they could not live on the lands that either of them were raised on, they decided to row a boat across the lake and seek life anew together in some new land, some new area. When on the lake, a storm took them by surprise, the water surged, and their boat was capsized. Sabina was
Oof.
Sabina was recovered from the lake, but she did not wake for 3 days. And when she did wake, she learned that her love had been drowned. He died in the lake. And this is
Oh,
kind
no.
of where the stories also differ, because I did see in a couple of sources that Sabina had a brother, and some sources say that Orwin did live, but the brother drowned him in the lake to prevent him from being with his sister. But I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
But the point of it is that Orwin died, and then when she woke from her 3-day coma, she learned of his death and became like a heartbroken, falling into despair and hopelessness so deep that she locked herself away in her bedroom and refused to eat or drink until she eventually died because she was not being sustained. So, according to
Tragic.
stories, she wanders through the grounds in search of Orwin, her lost love, but there are no stories that Orwin also wanders the grounds, so this poor girl is just a wandering
He
soul.
don't love her. She all alone.
Furthermore, it is often said that Sabina's fate was punishment to Richard Nugent, who loved his daughter. Like, he was cruel and ill-tempered man, but he loved Sabina. So because of his cruelty, it is said that he lost Sabina as punishment for that, and his soul cannot find rest due to the many victims who died by his word and the loss of his only daughter. With that being said, let's get into the spoops, yeah?
Yeah, spoops, spoops, spoops.
There are several rooms in the castle, but there are 3 rooms that are very active. So the first one, I mentioned him briefly, Miles O'Reilly, aka the Slasher, the room that he stayed in the night before he died.
All I can think of when you say the slasher is SpongeBob, like the hash slinging, the trash bringing, the like he
Stupid.
can't say hash slinging slasher, so he just keeps fucking it up.
Yeah.
The hash slinging slasher.
There was the hash slinging slasher. Yeah, so the hash slinging slasher's room, Miles O'Reilly, that was where he stayed the night before he died in battle. I don't know much about O'Reilly. Like, I didn't really see much about him. I'm assuming that he was kind of known for being a slasher. Otherwise, he would not have had that nickname. But the next room is Sabina's room, which is the room she kind of grew up in. It was the room she eventually died in. And then, of course, the Baron's room, which was Richard Nugent's room. So, from the slasher's room, people have caught EVPs of whispers and intelligent responses to like, who is this? Who are you? How did you die? Kind of thing.
Interesting.
And have heard footsteps, and people say that like there's no real dark energy in the castle except for the slasher's room. People say if you're going to feel negative energy, if you're going to feel something dark, it's going to be in that room, to the point where like you're afraid to leave the room, almost as if someone
Ooh.
were standing by the door preventing
Ew.
leaving. Yeah, that's a room where if you feel negativity or if you feel like bad energy, you're going to find it in that room, but not really any of the other rooms. Reports of hearing, they say cannonballs in the videos that I've watched, but it's just like,
Cannonballs.
yeah, like the sound of a ball rolling across.
Actual cannonballs being shot.
No,
Oh, okay.
rolling across like the floor above you.
Oh, okay.
There was another report of someone who the door to the slasher's room was slammed shut, even though the door was already shut. So it was like it was open specifically to be slammed again, which is
I don't like that.
a big nope. In other parts of the castle, people hear knocks, banging, tapping, footsteps, and even this was something I found interesting, the sound of dogs barking, like on the other side of a door. And it's too close, like the sound of the dog barking is too close for it to be like some random dog outside of the
Actually,
building.
right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there. And when you like open the door or turn around, there's clearly not a dog there.
It's terrifying.
People report like windows being open if they were shut in the middle of the night, or being shut if they were open in the middle of the night. Seeing apparitions of shadowy men walking around the room at night, only to turn on the light and there's nobody there.
It's terrifying.
Apparitions of a shorter person have been reported and then disappear as soon as they realize that they are not alone in the room. So, like a short person, people assume that's Sabina because I think she was a teenager when she died. So they think that she is shy, and if she doesn't realize she's not alone in the room, she'll like disappear once she realizes that there's somebody else.
Oh.
Light will flash outside the windows in the middle of the night like lightning, even if there's no rain or no storm or no cars in the area, or in some cases, windows in the building don't even face the street for cars to be flashing in the window. So,
Oh. No.
in Sabina's room, people have reported that she opens and closes doors on command, and between the hours of 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., you can hear her quietly sobbing in her room, which is so sad.
That's so sad. She just wants love.
She actually is the most not the most intelligent, but she's the most likely to respond intelligently. People bring in EMF detectors and things like that into her room, and she will make things light up upon, when you ask her to. She'll touch the things to make them make noise. They often bring like a light up.
So she's definitely an intelligent spirit.
Yeah, she definitely like will respond and interact with you, which I think is pretty cool. Other people have reported the sound of someone running up and down the stairs repeatedly, like like just constantly.
Like my upstairs neighbors and their 100-pound fucking baby. Goddamn. So every day we're like, there goes that 100-pound baby. Whoever, I don't know. So the maintenance person told us there is a kid there, but I'm like, how big is this motherfucking kid? Because like it literally sounds like a grown ass adult stomping around and falling. I'm like, it sounds like grandma fell up there like 50 times a day. I'm like, whose kid is this big? I'm worried.
Yeah, really.
Sorry, I had to share. I can't be the only one that has the image. Every day I have to picture this big ass baby. Because that's the only image.
I do not miss living in an apartment, I'll tell you what.
I don't either. I cannot wait to move in October, dude.
The other reports that people have heard the sound of a door opening and closing, but when they look to see, all the doors were left in the way they remember, like they either left them open and they were still open, or they were closed and they remember closing them, almost like, and this was somebody else's words, almost like the doors themselves have ghosts that are opening and closing, which is really gross to me. So this is actually, I got this from, it was a comment on somewhere, I can't even remember which one of the sources I read, but one guest of the B&B who did not want to give her name, and you'll find out why, claimed that she and her husband were staying in the Baron's room one night when she felt the feeling of someone sitting on the bed next to her and a hand touch her breast, but when she woke up, she saw her husband was lightly snoring and facing away from her. She shot up and ran downstairs to spend the rest of the night in the car, apparently, and they cut their stay at the not at the Airbnb, but at the bed and breakfast short after that. And when asked if she thought she might have been dreaming, her response was, quote, "Absolutely not. I felt that 100%. Richard Nugent was famous for being cruel and taking what he wanted without a second thought. I'm 100% sure he was making moves on me that night." And that's the end of
I
my
don't
notes.
like that. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for sharing. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'd want to stay here. It looks beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to visit it, but I don't know if I would want to stay.
Kay won't stay in a haunted place with me, so really it's just
I
gotta be
guess
me and
me and
you.
you have to stay.
I asked her, we were listening to a podcast yesterday, I think, and we were or maybe I was
I
talking to
think.
her about this, and I
And she
can't
was just
remember.
like, nah, I
And
can't.
I was like, you wouldn't stay in this with me? And she was like, no, I'm not staying in a haunted. And she's kind of a skeptic to begin with. And so I was like, you don't even really
Then how wouldn't
believe.
she stay in a haunted?
That's
Yeah,
what
I would
I'm
say
saying.
if she's a
Like,
skeptic, then she's not really a skeptic then.
that's well, she was like, well, I'm erring on the side of safety. And I was like, what do you mean?
For the most part, ghosts aren't very violent, and
Hmm.
trust me, if a ghost was violent or there was like a demon or something,
Yeah.
I would goodbye. Like then I'm leaving.
Choked on my wine,
Like
sorry.
I've definitely, I don't know, I've talked about it with you and we've talked about it together, but I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast, but we both believe there are spirits in some sense.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And we both have had experiences that we will not talk about now, but maybe at a later time.
Yeah, no. I've had
Because it's a
experience.
very in-depth convo, but
Yeah. I've
we
also
both
had
have
experiences
experienced
that I
things.
don't really want to talk about either because they were so,
Yeah,
I don't want to say
they're
personal,
they're
but
they
yeah.
are they're personal. Like some of mine were personal, some of
Hmm.
them were very random for me, but I've
Oh yeah.
experienced both sides. I've
Hmm.
experienced bad and good,
Yeah.
and I just don't like. I get the skepticism because if you've never had it happen to you, then
Yeah.
you're just
It's,
like, I did.
yeah.
There's nothing to grasp. Like you have no idea how to even imagine that exists.
Yeah. And that's the
But
thing. Kay has like told me like, oh, I've never really had an experience, and meanwhile I'm like freaking ghost magnet over here.
I
On
was gonna say,
the
I was like, when I was a kid and a teenager, I had the most experiences I ever have had as an adult.
mm-hmm.
I mean, people have said, like, as a kid, you experience more activity just because you're more open to
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not that surprising. But
Oh, did a
I haven't
rocket
had
just
it.
go up?
Huh?
Oh,
Bark,
a
bark,
rocket
bark.
just went up, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me look it up.
It sounds rumbly like a rocket.
Rocket launch. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, my
Yeah?
windows are
Wait.
rattling.
No. Huh? Let me
Oh,
look.
yeah, no, there it is.
What day is it?
There it
There's
is.
nothing that I can see,
Oh, I
though.
mean, I see the trail
Wait,
in.
wait, I'm scrolling back. I'm on NASA's site. Maybe
Oh,
it's not NASA.
I was like, just because it's NASA doesn't mean it's not a launch.
Rocket launch schedule.
Could be SpaceX. It could be
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
Yep.
Something
Oh,
SpaceX. Falcon 9 rocket will launch.
yeah, there it
And
is.
NASA's too.
I live on the
Military,
Space Coast,
military.
so sometimes my windows start rattling, and that's cool, though.
I don't get that over here. I cry.
I triangulated myself a little bit, but that's okay. The Space Coast is wide.
I would say she lives in central-ish to Space Coast, Florida. It's not on the immediate coast, so like,
Yeah,
good luck.
yeah. My
But
dogs are not happy about the rattling if
they
it's
are
moving in the
not.
background.
But yeah, I've had like weird experiences for a lot of my life, but as I got older, it stopped, and I think it was just because I closed myself off to that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure if I had gone, like if me and you go somewhere that we know is haunted and we're
Mhm.
specifically looking for it, you automatically open yourself up to having
Oh yeah.
experiences.
I
So,
leave myself open to experiences too because I believe in it so much that I've had enough experiences that trying to close myself off from it doesn't do me any favors because I
yeah,
know that that exists.
I'm not as opposed to it as I was when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, it was driving me mad. It was very anxiety inducing for me and I couldn't deal with
Oh,
it, so I
yeah.
shut myself off and I haven't seen anything in a while. I've seen like small things here and there and just been like, I don't know
Well,
if that was
honestly, the
anything.
place that you live in, like in the general area, is not
Mhm.
in the grand scheme of things like a super old area. There's
No,
not a lot known to be spiritually charged over there,
I
given.
will say it's true. The area I live in is not a very historic area,
Yeah.
but the last couple of experiences that I've had were in areas that were very historic, like
Yeah.
Savannah.
Yeah.
I went on my honeymoon in Savannah and I had a ton of experiences there. I had not had adult experiences at all at that point. And I was with obviously my ex-husband Joey, and he experienced things and he had never experienced anything. And Savannah is such an old
Is he
town.
skeptic?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah. And he had experienced some stuff while we were there too. Like we went on a couple ghost tours, but we were also just walking around at night because why the fuck not?
Mm-hmm.
And he had experienced, he didn't specifically see things, but he said that he had some really bad energy that he's never felt before.
Interesting.
Like, we had passed a couple of buildings that were very old on this tour that we were on, and they were describing the building and the stuff that happened in the building. And he's always just been like, I'm here for the history. Like, he wasn't on ghost tours because he thought he was actually going to see anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he was just on it because, like, ghost tours are a really great source for history and
Yeah.
rumors and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So he was just hanging out with me because I like that kind of stuff. And we were walking around, and both of us said at like the exact same time, we were like, I don't feel very well. And multiple people all started saying the same thing. And the tour guide was just saying, like, hey, this building has been told by a lot of people that there's a lot of bad energy surrounding it, and they're not really sure as to why, but it's true. Like, he had crossed the street and he was just like, I don't want to be near it, and he crossed the street again to come back. And if anyone knows Joey, he is not like that.
Yeah.
He is not a very, like, he's not a very spiritual person. When we were together, he didn't believe in like an afterlife or anything like that.
Yeah.
So for him to feel anything at all is a big deal, because he closes himself so far off from that kind of thing that it's surprising that he felt anything, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
But yeah, that's the last like experiences I've had is when I was in Savannah. But
Well, we gotta go
yeah,
somewhere soon after all of this
I know after
coronavirus
all
shit.
this, I want to plan a trip to go back to Savannah, because
Mhm.
it's been, this year will make 4 years since I haven't been, and I'm from Savannah, and I would love to take Eric. Like, he's a very historic kind of person. He hasn't experienced anything paranormal or supernatural or anything like that, but
Mhm.
he's open to it.
Oh, good.
And one, it's just fun. Like, it's a cool town. Like, there's shit to do. There's, really cool history. There's museums. There's just so much stuff to do.
Mhm.
And it's just cool. I like Savannah a lot. And it's not far. It's like 4 or 5 hours from Central Florida. So
Interesting.
it's a good trip. So once this is done, we should take a trip.
Yeah. Let's do it. A
I
double
think it'd be
weekend
really
date.
fun. And it's really close to the beach. And we could still go to the beach.
Yeah.
It's not, like, you can go for a couple days and it's not like, oh my god, we have to drive forever kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But
So,
thank you for sharing.
yeah, of course. It was fun to do the notes on this. I was like, when I first realized, I was like, oh man, this is two
You're
different
like, I'm
castles.
stupid.
I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? And then I was like, you know what? I've done the research. Might as well just talk about both of them. So you get a little surprise double whammy today. That's fine.
That's fine, honestly.
Oh, your throat made a weird noise just now.
Oh, I swallowed because I drank wine. You're welcome, everybody, for the throat noise.
I would love to, for
I
fun, put together
want
a
to do a blooper
reel because it'd just be like the stupid shit that we had to
just
cut out.
anything.
Yeah.
Like stuff that we're like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't keep that in
Yeah,
there.
no, I
Or just
really
like
want to do a
gross
blooper reel.
noises. Like, if people understood how much we've burped uh during I've
Burp
cut out
and, like
so many burps and sneezes and like weird shit. So
Yeah.
like I would love to just create a blooper reel of just gross
I
noises,
would
or
love to do
like
that. I would.
swallowing, or just, there was also something I cut out where I was like, that was very moist of my mouth, because I was just like making like gross wet noises
Yeah.
with my, it was gross.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I would love to do it. Anyway, back on track. Tell me about the video gaming world.
So you had sent this to me. I had seen it before, but thank you for sending me the actual article
Mhm.
with everything going on in today's world. I didn't even think about this. I play Overwatch all the time, and I didn't even realize how this could be construed as racist. Even though I'm black, I think it's just, you just don't even think about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
But McCree's spray, McCree is a cowboy, essentially. He had a new spray, so like we had, Overwatch has sprays that you can spray for just fun, shits and giggles. And he had a new spray. And I think they started to realize the implications that had.
And people
So
were
they changed
using
it
it like,
wrong.
yeah, they were using it incorrectly. Like the noose in and of itself, like, yeah, it's bad, but like to use it in such a way that is, they were using
They
it.
made it worse.
Yeah, yeah.
It was bad. So they
Yeah,
made the
they changed
patch
it
and
to a horseshoe, right?
yeah, it's a horseshoe that says bad luck on it. So,
Because it's an
which is
upside down
better.
horseshoe, yeah. And
He
it still
also
fits
has
his theme. That's the other thing is like I read a lot of comments
absolutely.
on that article was like, oh well, the noose fits his theme, so I don't understand why we have to do this. Blah blah
So does
blah.
a bunch of other stuff. Like
But I'm like,
just because it fits his theme doesn't mean we want to make McCree a racist. Like
yeah,
like
honestly.
that doesn't mean anything.
So
So
yeah,
does a lot of other things.
so the bad luck upside down horseshoe does not have any implications and also fits his theme. So hop off.
Yeah. And a lot of his stuff also refers to Western cinema. So a lot of his sprays actually refer to Clint Eastwood's movies like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Hang 'em High. So a lot of people liked those sprays, which is why, again, they were very upsetting. But like people were upset about them removing it, but like,
Yeah, but
whatever.
yeah, we live in a freaking world where like you can't have that shit. And
No,
you can still have a cowboy character without
without being racist.
all of the problematic things that come along with it.
Like we get it. We understand the history of cowboys, but McCree is a futuristic cowboy.
Yeah.
So let's pretend that he's not racist.
And I don't
please.
I don't want McCree to be problematic because you know how much I love him.
The next thing I have is there are some deals going on. Again, we are in a pandemic. Things are just on sale. That's how it's going, you know? I'm reading this from GameSpot. It says, we may not be getting Amazon Prime Day this month. The annual blowout sale that normally occurs mid-July has reportedly been delayed till October, but we've still seen some better than usual game deals at Amazon and its competitors lately. Best Buy, in particular, has been offering some pretty great game deals. And this week's discounts have been even beating some of last week's. So Borderlands 3 is actually down to $10 after last week's price of $13. So it's even lower. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are down to $40 after last week they were at $45. Some other games, Fire Emblem Warriors are down to $25. Breath of the Wild is down to $50. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is down to $50. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 is $40. Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is down to $50. Super Mario Odyssey is down to $50. These are all Switch games.
Right.
PS4 games that are down. Borderlands 3, as I said, again, is $10. Ghost Recon Breakpoint is also $10. Metro Exodus, $15. Persona 5 Royal is down to $40. Red Dead Redemption 2 is $34 right now.
Oh, wow.
Xbox One Bleeding Edge is $15. Final Fantasy VII, The Zodiac Age is $30. Final Fantasy X is $27, and Metro Exodus is $15.
Wow.
So there is plenty of deals for very, very good titles. So take advantage of the deals while they can. Hopefully this comes out. It does not say when the deals end, so I'm really sorry if they end by now. But in general, keep an eye out for these types of things because, again, it's a pandemic and people are trying to make their money. So,
and honestly, we are still in a pandemic, so
yes.
don't be acting like we're not.
Don't be acting crazy, y'all. Overcooked came out with a new game. Well, it's not a new game. It basically combines two games. It's now called Overcooked All You Can Eat. It has Overcooked 1 and 2. It's cross-platform, online multiplayer, all levels of original games, remastered in 60 frames per second and 4K. I love Overcooked. It is the most rage-inducing game ever. Do not play
I've
with
never
people you
played it.
love. It is so fucking fun. It's a diner dash game.
Really?
Yeah, it's on PS4. I have it. I used to stream it on Twitch. I used to play with Joey, and people in our comments were like dying because so Joey and I didn't fight while we played, but I was definitely like, Joey, take the pot off, and then like a fire would start, and I'd be like, oh, where's the fire extinguisher? Put out the oh my god, like and just everything catches on fire. I love Overcooked. I think it's a fantastic game. So
that's too funny. I've never played
take
it.
advantage. We should play because it's
Yeah.
super fucking fun.
Okay.
It's actually pretty cheap too, from what I remember. Yeah, a lot of the game is just combining both of them so that it's easier, but it will be available for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X later this year.
Cool.
Considering that it's basically a glorified Diner Dash game, it's one of my favorites. So it's super fun. And like certain levels are certain things, like there's a space level where you make tacos, but like the platforms move and you can only get in the space shuttle at certain times and stuff. It's just the characters are super cute too. Like I play as, I think it's either it's a girl in a wheelchair or a rabbit in a wheelchair or something like that. But like I love the characters so much in Overcooked. They're so cute, and I don't know. I just like little details like that.
Okay. Well, yeah,
And
we
I
can
tend to
play it.
use characters that are disabled because I'm disabled, and I
Mhm.
just think it's so cute.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the wheelchair character. It's a raccoon. That's what
A
it is. It's a
raccoon.
wheelchair raccoon. It's so good. He's so cute. Okay, here you go. There's also
Oh, that is cute.
so there's this game they play on Switch, but they call it Chicky Doo, and that is not what it's called. They just call it that, the boys. It's called like Chicken Horse or something like that.
Oh,
Ultimate
chicken.
Chicken Horse. Let me look if I can find it. Yeah, it's called Ultimate Chicken Horse, but we call it Chicky Doo. And I play as, so like you can put on outfits, and one of the outfits you can, I think it's a rabbit or something. I
Mhm.
think it's a rabbit, and you can be robot bunny or you can be wheelchair bunny, and I always pick the wheelchair bunny. And it's really funny because the game is literally just hopping through traps and stuff,
That's
and
too
then you can
funny.
just see this rabbit in a wheelchair like climbing cliffs. It
Oh
doesn't
my
make any
god.
sense.
That's
And
hilarious.
then let me see what else I have. Oh yeah, Epic Games Store has officially integrated into GOG Galaxy 2.0. So
Okay.
I'm reading this from PCGamer.com. There's a lot of different launchers. You know, there's Windows Store, Uplay, Steam, Origin, Epic Games, Rockstar,
Mhm.
Bethesda's
Mhm.
launcher, BattleNet. Like there were so much
Yeah.
fucking launchers.
Yeah.
But so they decided to add their own. I don't fucking know why. But
Okay.
until today, Xbox Live had been the only service to officially integrate with Galaxy, but Epic Games Store has now joined the GOG Galaxy fold as well. They aren't earth-shattering or anything like that, but they now have their own client. I don't know how this is going to work, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Well.
Tim Sweeney from Epic posted on Twitter, ultimately, ownership of digital items should be a universal notion independent of stores and platforms. So much of the digital world today is frustrated by powerful intermediaries whose toll booths obstruct open commerce to keep customers and their purchases locked in. I don't know why all companies want their own launcher, but it's
Mhm.
fucking annoying.
Yeah,
Like,
really.
I have to open Steam for this, I have to open Battle.net for that.
Yeah. Like I have the Dragon Age and Mass Effect games on Origin, but now they're available on Steam, and I would
So you're like,
much
damn it.
rather play on Steam because Steam just runs better than Origin does. No offense, Origin, but I just can't justify buying the games again. Like I already own them in
You're just like,
Origin.
ugh.
So yeah, that is frustrating is when you own something on a digital platform, but you can only run it in one place.
It
That's
sucks
very
ass.
frustrating. Yeah.
Also, Overwatch is not cross-platform, and it pisses me off because I've been playing
Yeah.
on PC and none of my stuff carries over, and I'm so sad.
Yeah.
It's like, why did I put so much time and effort? I don't understand.
You still play with me.
I know. I still play, but it's just annoying because when I play with my other friends on PC, it's just like all of my skins aren't there, my achievements aren't there, my hours, my stats, all that stuff isn't there, which is
Mhm.
good and bad because I'm like, oh, I can play comp and place higher maybe or shit like that. But
Mhm, mhm.
for the most part, I'm like, no one can see that I have no life and I play this game all the time. They think I'm a noob. So
Yeah.
the other piece of news I have, Annapurna Interactive is publishing a game about a tale of a dead museum curator and his dead dog later this year, which it sounds very weird, but it actually sounds pretty cool. I am reading this off PCGamer.com.
Okay.
I Am Dead is a puzzle adventure game about a museum curator named Morris Lupton and his dog Sparky, both of whom are dead. That's
My
not really a problem though.
my
The real
parents'
issue.
dog has a Spar or my parents have a
Oh
dog
yeah,
named
I forgot
Sparky.
about
He doesn't
Sparky.
have any eyes.
I love Sparky.
Poor no-eyed dog. Anyway, go ahead.
The real issue is that the tiny island of Shelmerston, where they lived in more corporeal times, and which remains packed with locals and tourists alike, is about to be destroyed by a volcanic eruption, and they're the
Oh.
only ones that can stop it.
Oh.
Being Dead grants Morris the ability to see inside objects, including the memories inside people's heads, which enable him to discover secrets, solve puzzles, and meet other ghosts. The developer describes it in the gameplay and overview trailer released today as a unique kind of hidden object game. It's fair to say that we don't cover very many of those, although we don't object to them by any means. The ability to drill into objects, things inside things, as they say, gives I Am Dead an unusual kind of depth, though, and ultimately the real discovery isn't the objects themselves, but their significance to the game's many strange characters.
Interesting.
It sounds pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I would be down for that.
But yeah, it's just a game about dead people finding out stuff. I just think it's pretty cool. I like the premise behind it. I hadn't heard anything about it. I also like supporting indie games, so. And then the last thing.
And when
was
does that
actually,
come out, did you say?
It hasn't said yet.
Oh, okay.
Let me look if there's a release date that I can find. It just says 2020.
Oh, okay. Well, there's still a few months left in 2020.
Yeah, it doesn't have a release date, but it looks really cool, and I like the graphics. If so, watch the trailer. Very, very cool. The thing you linked to me before we started recording, because it came out today, is also from GameSpot. There's some new releases. A new cinematic trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 5 was revealed, and the developer confirmed that the game will launch for Nintendo Switch in 2021. It'll also probably be a worldwide release. The DLC for Cadence of Hyrule, the Zelda-themed spin-off, and Crypt of the Necrodancer is also on the way, which is cool. My friend plays Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's fucking annoying. The game is so annoying. Yeah, because you have to keep beat or else you get hurt.
Oh.
So you have to hop back. Like, it's the type of game where you can't do anything else. You can't listen to any other music. There is no talking when you play that game.
Oh, interesting.
Crypt of the Necrodancer is literally like you using the arrow keys or WASD to hop to the beat, and it's like bum, bum, bum. Like, you're constantly moving.
Interesting.
And if you miss a beat, you get hurt. It's really annoying.
Interesting.
But it's interesting. It's just weird.
I actually haven't played the Cadence of Hyrule because I just never got it. And I would like to play it because I am a Zelda fan who wants to play all
huge
the
Zelda fan.
Yeah, I really am. I don't talk about it. People are going to be thinking that I'm a bigger Dragon Age fan or Mass Effect fan than Zelda, but that is not the case. If I had to rank them, Zelda would be like the number 1 through like 8 slots, and then Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Fucking love Zelda. I had a dog named Zelda.
I also had, not a dog, but I had a chinchilla named Zelda.
Oh,
and also, what's funny is David also had a hedgehog named Zelda. So, like, all of us are just big nerds, apparently. Yeah. We're all just like, Zelda. It also comes out today. Obviously, today is not the day that you're listening to this, but by the time you do listen to this, it'll be out.
Right.
Keep an eye out for it. WWE 2K Battlegrounds, the arcade-style wrestling game, is coming out later to the Switch and other platforms, so keep an eye out for it. But I think that was all I had for today.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, we had a pretty successful stream.
We did.
Saturday. So we're going to do it again. We originally said we were going to play Until Dawn, and then we decided we were going to play
Friday the 13th, but apparently no one fucking plays Friday the 13th anymore, so I couldn't find a game.
So then we started playing Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, I'm playing Resident Evil 6, so maybe the goal is to hopefully get Angel to join me.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But either way, we're going to be streaming us playing Overwatch or Resident Evil 6, so just keep an eye out for our posts.
Yeah, and I always make a post on social media about a half hour beforehand.
You can find us on.
Yeah, you can find us at Ghoul Gaming Gals on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook maybe. You can find Janelle's Twitch stream at Janelle Nelly.
JANELNELLIE.
You can find my Twitch at Aria Makila. That's AUREUMAQUILA. And our Instagram has a link tree now, so you can find and listen to us on many places. And you can find all of those links on our Instagram, which is ghoulgaminggals.podcast. And I think that's it.
Yeah, and thanks again for listening, everybody.
Yeah,
please
don't forget,
interact with us, give us suggestions.
Don't forget to comment and give us a rating, subscribe on your favorite app so that we can get this show lifted off. We want to do some big things.
Yeah.
Tell all your friends.
We want to keep doing this for all of you guys who support us. Thank you again, and have a good rest of your week, everybody, and please be safe and healthy. You too, Angel.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I guess I will be unhealthy.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.